Hi, I'm Steve Podmore. Well, I'm the founder of Transform Global, as many of you know. And in this presentation, I'm going to talk about BIGCrowd, and I'm going to talk about the sales and marketing strategy for this really innovative crowdfunding, crowdsourcing, and collaboration platform. Now, there's already been a separate presentation explaining BIGCrowd and funding the global goals.tv as part of our media and technology properties video. So that explains those models from the consumer perspective, from what it will do for big impact game changers. But at the heart of those presentations, there are some assumptions detailed around the growth potential. So we want to dig in a lot more into those assumptions and explain how the model works. Now, this is the brains of the marketing brains of this model, and it's really exciting. So we talked about Transform Global Media, and now we're talking about this marketing powerhouse that is about driving subscriber growth. Well, you can see these things pulsating together. And what this really means is what we call the social network marketing structure. It's designed to work in collaboration with the cause marketing, and they reinforce each other, as does what we call the challenge marketing. So the challenge marketing is where we support a competition, for example, perhaps to address plastics in the ocean, or to tackle new ways of developing renewable energy in parts of the world that might not be able to scale easily. There can be many subjects for those incentive competitions or challenges, and every time we set a challenge, we'll market it. And by marketing it, we're seeking to find those big impact game changers wherever they are in the world. And there's incentives for the subscribers to nominate game changers who would be potentially able to win an award or receive an award or to win a competition. Just to be clear, there's a subtle difference. An awardee is an entity that we identify with the help of the crowd, with the help of the subscribers and experts and judges, and we give a direct award. We realize that they're deserving. A competition, on the other hand, that would result as in a challenge or challenge competition, is where we set parameters that are broad enough that game changers can apply from wherever. And there's a process that takes a number of months to narrow from very many to a smaller number, using the crowd, using experts, judges, and algorithms, and how the game changers interact on the platform, as well as the responses that they get progressively from both the broad subscriber base, but also those experts and judges. So it narrows from very many qualifying applicants to a handful, and then ultimately the crowd would be responsible for choosing from a handful of selected, very capable potential winners, the one winner for a particular award. And it might be that certain awards have several prizes on offer. So that's the slight difference. But every time we market a challenge, we are also getting subscriber growth. When we support a big impact game changer with the £70,000 component of the award or prize, so they get £20,000 per month in cash, £10,000 spent on governance and impact reporting, but 70,000 is on everything else with that ecosystem of best-in-class suppliers. So we're giving many times the value, and we're ultimately helping them become fully credible and fully supported. But some of that £70,000 a month budget is designed to be spent on social media and video production and the storytelling, which will feature on the BIGCrowd platform, but also could feature in as content for funding the global goals.tv. So all of this works together. So by promoting the big impact game changer, we're also helping promote the subscription. But let's talk about it from a subscriber perspective. So I'd like you to put yourself in this position of this subscriber shown here. And every subscriber has the ability to build up a direct and indirect network of subscribers they introduce or are introduced into their network by the system. So let me explain what that means. So everyone, if they want to be what's called an active paying subscriber, or even a free subscriber that can earn commissions, they have to watch content, they have to vote on it and share each month. Now, they don't have to watch 5 hours of content. They've got to watch from a handful of selected videos and promotions and highlight reels for game changers that they may be interested in. They've got to watch 10, 15 minutes each month. So the conditions are not onerous, but they've got to watch them, they've got to vote, and they've got to share appropriate content with their network or through emails. There's a variety of ways that they can share. And if they do that, they're what's called qualified to earn. It's not a big commitment, although those who really want to, they can share extensively. They can't spam people. There are conditions attached. We don't want people to be aggressively marketing. We want people to be supporting game changers that they really resonate with and doing it in a fair way. So what we're seeing here is a different type of subscriber. And those that we're showing in this presentation to be yellow are those that are direct to you, meaning they followed a link that you sent. It could be by email, or it could be on your social media accounts, or you could have even told them and given them a QR code that you would have on your personalized credit card. So the whole concept is you have a payment card that can load your commissions onto, or indeed it could be a virtual wallet on your phone. And this means that you are able to use that as a promotional tool to show other people, to give them the QR code and to get them as subscribers, either free or premium, £9.60 a month subscribers. And it really becomes a tool for storytelling, showing people how you can do good and do well. Well, the other, what we can see here is your sponsor. So it's likely that you were introduced onto this platform by somebody else, and they would be your sponsor in this terminology, and they're represented in, or other subscribers are represented to be shown in blue. And as you can see here, your sponsor has introduced 5 people, yourself and 4 others. And what we've designed in this structure is the ability to only have 5 other subscribers on your first level. Now, when we talk about levels, this is really, it's like an artificial construct. It's a design, we call it a jet engine effect. Now, if you think of a jet engine, what it does is it takes in fuel and it takes in oxygen and an ignition, and it channels the energy. And therefore, if the engine is not fixed to the floor, it provides motive power. It enables forward momentum. And that's really what this structure is designed to do. It's basically names on and numbers on a database. But ultimately, the specific design means that the subscribers can only have 5 people directly below them, but they can have it through unlimited levels, but they can only earn commissions up to the payment cap. So there is a payment cap that subscribers can earn as an incentive. They can earn commissions for every subscriber that they have in their network up to a certain level, and anything above that payment cap, they can't take as personal earnings. They have to donate to qualifying projects on the platform. So that jet engine effect is really, really powerful. It's about channeling collective energy. So, but what we also have is this concept called spillover. So your sponsor, in this case, you're shown in white, and your sponsor or those who introduced you, and that could be our media activity, and we'll explain that in a moment. Your sponsor isn't limited to only having 5 people directly below, because they can have it on many levels. So when your sponsor or the person, anyone above you, wants to introduce new subscribers, or does through very natural process of sharing on social media or promotional messages and the support for the game changers, what happens is they sit below you. So even though you didn't introduce this person that's shown in blue, shown with a number 2 directly above them, they're now sitting below you. Now we've got another category, and that's the red, this or I guess it's a pink color. So this reddy pink color subscriber is also below you. We'll talk about them in a moment. And one other that you've directly introduced, and one other that is come from elsewhere. It might have come from the person who introduced you, or anyone who's come above you, or indeed our marketing activity. So what's basically happening here, you can see now you've got 5 people directly below you, 5 people on your level 1. And for those 5 people, you earn 5 pence. Now these are paying subscribers. So the structure is that there could be a mix of free and paying subscribers, and the free subscribers will have a position on the network as well. So it might be that one of your subscribers is a paying subscriber, and 4 of them below you, directly below you, are free subscribers. But that can change over time. We'll explain why. But essentially, what happens is you earn what we call 5 big points, or 5 British pence, for every subscriber, every paying subscriber you have that sits below you. Now, for the sake of argument, we're showing that these are all paying subscribers, and therefore you're going to earn 25 pence per month for every subscriber that is below you on that first level. Now, that doesn't sound very much. You're paying £9.60 as a subscriber, and you're earning just 25 pence. But what we have to remember is this happens on multiple levels, and there's also what we call a match bonus. And this might seem a little complicated, but bear with it, and it really is pretty simple. Although we've got to get better ways of explaining it, I understand. So what's called a match bonus is you also earn the equivalent earnings up to your payment cap, because again, there is a limit on what we can earn. You also earn the equivalent of all those who are shown in yellow. So those are the ones that you've directly introduced yourself. Now, bearing in mind, let's just talk about the subscription. The subscription is £9.60, but the net price, which is the same price, the net price all over the world, is £8. And half of that £8, £4, is used to pay for the awards and prizes. As we talked about, the awards and prizes are 25,000 paying subscribers, or donor funding to make up the balance. So for every 25,000 subscribers or equivalent, that equates to £100,000 per month, which is one prize. The other £4 is used to pay our expenses, our talent, our profit margin when we're at scale, our technology cost. But £1 is used to pay the subscriber commissions. I'll explain how that is used in a moment, how it's calculated. But essentially, £1 is split in two. Half of it, 50 pence, is allocated to what's called match bonuses. And the other half of it, 50 pence, is used to pay the commissions through 10 levels. So that is 5p, 5p, 5p times 10. And it'll become clear in a moment. So those 2 people that you have directly introduced, and this could be through sending them a link, and it's not, you don't have to do it in day 1. It could be at any time over the first months or years that you subscribe, although the incentive is if you introduce more people faster, you get to earn on the platform more than you're paying in your subscription a lot faster. That's the theory. Although we know that many people on this structure will be getting the benefits of the subscription, and they might not be earning at all, and they might choose not to earn, or they might not be earning enough because they're not active, they're not watching and voting and sharing content, but they still get so many benefits for being on the platform, and they support game changers that they care about. So not everyone will participate because they can earn. Many will, but many will just participate because of the good that they're able to do in a small way to support game-changing projects that they care about. But what we can do also is create what we really refer to as an army of philanthropists. So I'll explain that in a moment. So in very simple terms, every one of those subscribers can have 5 subscribers directly below them. So as you can see here, there's now a further 25,000 subscribers, and that means there's a further £1.50 in potential commissions if these were all paying subscribers. Now, we made a critical decision, and when I say we, I have a colleague called Phil Colclough, and Phil and I, when we were focused on the development of BIGCrowd, the model, the theories behind it, and the underlying critical thinking, this system design took a lot of work to come about. And what it's designed to do, some people don't like the network marketing type concept, and I'm one of them actually, because there are occasions where that structure is all about selling to people who can't afford. It's really a marketing exercise without really the mission, and without the products and the value that people really want. But what I realized is actually, if you can harness the concept of doing good and doing well, and do it fairly and transparently and objectively, and also use it to raise money for appropriate charities and foundations, as well as the kind of game changers on the BIGCrowd platform, then this is one of the best forms of marketing in the world, particularly if you could make it fun, if you could gamify it. So when we're talking about gamifying it, although what I'm showing looks a little complex, people don't really need to know all the detail. All they got to do is watch and vote and share, and allocate their spare commissions or their excess commissions to game changers that they care about. They might be able to invest or donate to them directly. That's a separate exercise. But it's really designed to be a lot of fun and very simple for those who want it to be. If you want complexity, it's there as well. So you can really go to town on how you collaborate with the game changers. Anyway, so the critical decision was that the very top position in the structure would be our own foundation. Now there are only there's only one network that would be built out below BIGCrowd. It's not where we would have lots of direct subscribers and where there's a lot of opacity. We only want one direct subscriber below us. Now, there are only 2 ways to subscribe. One is you can follow an email or a link or a QR code that comes from an existing subscriber. And then the other is that BIGCrowd does what we call cause marketing, where we are spending money from our investment or from our revenues and marketing using social media and PR and everything you can imagine. Now, if you hear about us through one of those what we call indirect mechanisms, then rather than the actual subscriber, what happens to you as a subscriber? Well, in this structure, what happens is you are allocated to be sponsored by the charities or aligned foundations that we want to raise money for. So that basically means that the match bonus, 100% of the earnings that you might earn, which can equate to a maximum of 50p in the combined subscription. So essentially 6% of the, or 6.25% of the total £8. That 50 pence gets allocated in small amounts, of course, to those foundations that we are raising money for. So essentially, the more marketing that we do to support the game changers, the more money we're raising for those foundations. So what we decided, Phil and myself, going back and forth with many different iterations, is that those those positions, the very top one would be our own. And then the following 30 ultimately would be foundations that we are raising money for. Let me see if I can go back. So yes, if foundations that we are raising money for. So all of the actual first level subscribers sit below there. And actually, it's not like we will allocate to 31 foundations on day one. We'll have our own and one or two others. You can see there the Skull Foundation or One Young World or the X Prize or Heart of England Forestry Foundation or others. I think, I'm not sure what the other one is there, but you get the idea. We will enable the subscribers to help decide which foundations we're raising capital for. And what we will do is, of course, if the revenues in the initial stages are quite small, we don't want many foundations. It would dilute what they get. So as the revenues increase, we will add the ability to deliver meaningful amounts to a larger number of entities. But it will cap out at around 31 earning positions, which could be many millions of pounds per year collectively. So that structure means, as we said then, the first meaningful subscribers or the first real subscribers sit below those theoretical 31 top positions. Now you can see here 125, so there's effectively 125 first level positions. Now many of those have gone, people who've already wanted to subscribe, and we've allocated to them. But essentially what then happens is those numbers work in favor, but everyone is at their own, the top of their own 10-person or 10-level network. So in this case, you shown in white there, although you are shown to be the top of your own network, you're actually 3 levels or 4 levels down in the collective network. But just hopefully this all makes sense. So at that level 4, if you have a complete 625 people at your level 4, you're now earning £39 for the people at that level. If we go back, it's £7.75, £1.50, and 25 pence. So so you can see there you're now at the point where you're probably earning about £40 a month over and above the cost of your subscription if you had that total number of people. Now, bearing in mind, because of the spillover effects, you don't have to introduce all of these people directly. And the reality is you're never going to know. You might have a conversation on a bus or in a shop or on a Zoom call, and some of them will subscribe directly because of the link that you send them and because of the amazing story of the good that you're helping do by supporting those game-changing projects, tackling poverty or climate. But it might be that your conversation is the first of many conversations people have. It might be the one that stimulates people, but who knows which conversation actually got someone to ultimately subscribe, unless, of course, there's a direct link. So what we want to do with this structure is incentivize people for the small, regular marketing and incidental conversations, and not to penalize them. I think it's really important that people are fairly and objectively rewarded by this system. And part of that is how they watch content, how they vote and support those game changers, how they share, but also how they collaborate separately to all of that. So on this basis, that 10-level network, so we can see how it builds up, and it can really go exponential pretty quickly. Now, a theoretic 10-level network, 5 by 10, can have 12.2 million people in it if it was fully filled out. Now, we know that a lot of those positions will be positions where people are not earning because they are free subscribers. However, even the free subscribers, even if they get to watch content, if they watch content, vote and share, until they have a paying subscription, they are not technically allowed to earn. But as soon as there is 196 subscribers below them, paying subscribers below them, as long as they're meeting the watch, vote, share criteria, they're limited on how much they can collaborate, and they're limited on the fact that they forfeit any bonuses for people that they directly introduce forever. Those bonuses will always go to the charities or aligned foundations that we're raising money for. But the great thing about this is that even the free subscribers, when there's 196 paying subscribers, and that is the number that then equates to the £9.60 per month subscription. So whenever that occurs, they then also can become a paying subscriber. So the point being, a 12.2 million person network, and it doesn't stop there. The network can continue to build, and people can still get the match bonus for people they directly introduce further down the line, but it's subject to the payment cap. So the point being is the very few people will actually receive or build networks with that many people in, and certainly they won't be fully populated with paying subscribers. But the point is, even a fraction of that can deliver really healthy earnings. Let's give a couple of examples. Just before we do that, we'll just show how it works. So imagine you're up there on the top level, and then you've got 10 levels below you. So the people who are paying subscribers on that 10th level, or the 9th or 8th, etc., what happens is from their subscription, from their £8 net, 5 pence will automatically, using blockchain technology and payment systems, it will automatically be paid up to the 10 people in their hierarchy above them. So you can see that even for people who are down on that 10th level, 10 levels below you, you are essentially getting 5 pence per month, and that 5p times 10 adds up to 50p. So it's a maximum of 6.25% of the total £8 subscription. So that's part of it, but also there is the match bonus, as we talked about. So there's 3 what we call promotional incentives. One is that match bonus, the 100% of the earnings of the people that you directly introduce. And if you introduce more, then you can get to your payment cap a lot faster, in theory. It's not a guarantee, of course, and you've got to watch and vote and share. But the goal basically is, if you can introduce 10 people directly, and again, you don't have to hard sell them. All you have to do is share on your social media, share videos that you think might resonate with a particular person, and show them how, using our marketing material, that they can subscribe and support projects that they care about and vote for them, and they can win a lot of other bonuses and awards for how they can collaborate. But if you can introduce 10 people in your first 60 days, then the payment cap that would normally be £5,000 as an absolute maximum per month, that increases to £10,000 per month. Now, if you don't introduce those 10 people in your first 60 days, effectively the first 2 months that you're on the platform, you can still get to increase your payment cap to £10,000 per month maximum, but you have to introduce 30 people directly. So there's an incentive to do it faster, but and we think it's quite a good incentive. So £10,000 a month is quite a lot of money. But of course, the payment system enables people to earn an awful lot more, but they have to donate it to projects on the platform. But then the other, essentially the promotional incentive, is that cause marketing spillover. So as you may have heard, the goal with Transform, as the owner and funder of BIGCrowd, is to put about £125 million in to establish the technology initially, the first few million, and then to pump prime. So we'll be putting money to onboard many appropriate game changers, so we have great content on the platform that are supporting entities that are doing incredible things, but also to market then in multiple different ways. And by doing that cause marketing that we're generating, the subscribers that sign up as a result of that, just to reiterate, they come on board as a result. As you saw, there's two ways. You can send a link, or they can find out about us through our marketing. So although we actually are allocating the earning positions at the top to those aligned foundations and charities, and the match bonus permanently for the marketing that we do directly, those subscribers still get to sit potentially through below you in your network. So essentially, if you're watching content and voting and sharing, it's not just the marketing that we're doing. Because of that spillover, the fact that there can only be 5 subscribers below you, and it spills out directly below you, and the spillover means others sit in the first available place in the database. So according to that sort of jet engine structure and that hierarchy, what it enables is, as long as you're collaborating and watching, voting and sharing, you get to earn from that cause marketing spillover. So you put all those 3 things together, that match bonus, the incentive to introduce people faster, and a cause marketing spillover. And bearing in mind, it doesn't have to be hard sell. You can send the odd email, you can talk to someone in the shop, you can tell people in a very informal way. If you do all of that, if you collaborate and you don't break the conditions, such as spamming and doing things that are inappropriate. And if you do, we can terminate you from the platform, and your earnings get to cease. But let's say you're a subscriber on the platform. Well, you can even will your earnings to your descendants. I mean, it's very, very powerful. You get to earn this earning structure that is just mind-blowing. But let's take a couple of examples. So you can see here, there's you, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 levels below. So on that basis, there would be just under 4,000 people in your network. And those 4,000 people, that would be £195 or thereabouts in base commissions each month, which perhaps is your energy bill, if you have one. If you're a owner of a builder home or a power unit, you might not even have an energy bill, but we'll talk about that another time. But that's 195 plus the match bonus for the people who you have directly introduced. So that's just a few levels down. So essentially what happens though, because of your direct and indirect activity, you're essentially raising over 15,000 a month for those big impact game changers on the platform. So let's take example number 2. So just less than 100,000 subscribers, so 7 levels deep. So on that basis, your commissions are just under £5,000 a month, and you've potentially got a further £1,000 to £10,000 or thereabouts in match bonus. Now, of course, you've got the payment cap, so you can only earn £5,000, or if you've done enough in your first 60 days or introduce 30 people direct thereafter, your payment cap can rise to £10,000 per month. And what we want to do is we want to have other incentives for people to participate and showcase what they're doing. There will be events for some of the high impact subscribers and those who are doing the most to collaborate. So there's many other things that we'll be paying for out of the marketing budget. But from the base commissions, if you've got 100,000 people in your network, you've got a decent monthly earning, a decent monthly income. And of course, on that basis, you're earning close on £400,000 per month for the game changers. That's remarkable. Now, it's a stretch to say you are doing that directly. It's the indirect and direct earnings that came as a result of the network that you helped initiate and participate in. So it's really the collective activity. But the point being is really amazing things can occur. But let's go all the way. Let's say there are 12.2 million people in your network paying subscribers. So to reiterate, this is impossible because of the structure where there will be free and paying subscribers together. But let's see if it was, That's a 610,000 in monthly base commissions, although there's the payment cap. And that really is a collective revenue of about £50 million per month by that 12.2 million paying subscribers. Now, of course, we've talked about the fact that there'll be many free, but the free can migrate to paying subscribers over time. But it's really important just to say some aspect or one aspect of the business model. And that is, some people perceive this system as a structure where the people coming in early can earn the most and those coming in last get to earn nothing at all. That's not the case. It's based on merit. You've got to watch and you've got to vote and you've got to share, and the people coming in several years down the line have got an equal opportunity to build up earning potential. But there is a reality, that this kind of system will have a point where it does plateau. But the whole point is, let's just take a hypothetical situation. Let's say there were 100 million subscribers on this platform. Well, that 100 million subscribers would equate to, it's roughly £100 per month. Per year is what the subscriber is going to put in. It's £8 times 12 is the net income. So essentially it's £96 per year. So call it £100 per year per paying subscriber. So if that's the case, then it turns it into pretty much a £10 billion business, half of which is going to go to those game changers. And the other half, some of it's on margin, but an awful lot will go into content and features that are on the platform, where we're spending several £billion a year to make this platform full of amazing content, of people who are changing the world, who get the ability to collaborate with others, who naturally get job opportunities, because one of the extensions to the model is by providing help and support to those game changers. When those game changers are potentially fully funded, those who've proven their worth and showcase the good that they care about and are doing, they might be able to go and either have full-time roles or gig economy type positions with those game changers on the platform. So people get to build their social media and their impact credibility on this platform as a result. So although the structure does indicate that you can any business cannot pay out more commissions than it earns in revenue. It's just a hard, fast fact, and we're only paying out 12.5% of the total revenue. This is aside from any extra donations or any money we raise for projects on the platform. We're just talking about the subscriber revenue here. So just to explain, the value of that network increases very significantly according to Metcalfe's law, the more members there are in the network. So even if someone was the 100 millionth subscriber, and the earning opportunity might have at that point reduced, although I believe potentially we could have hundreds of millions on this platform, but it could be an awful lot less. It might plateau at 1 million or 2 or 5. We really don't know. But the belief is there's actually definitely the potential to achieve what we've shown in our projections, and potentially, because it's part of the bank, an awful lot more. So BIGCrowd, it's really about the harnessing the power of the big crowd. Of course, to build this business, we've got multiple language support. There's how the game changers get supported. So if you remember, half of the revenue goes in to pay for the prizes. And those prizes are 20,000 cash, 10,000 of governance, and 70,000 on that organized help and support. So we'll be creating kind of incubators and accelerators in different parts of the world, but we can't deal all over the world. There are certain countries that we may choose not to enter. We legally might be barred from entering. North Korea springs to mind, but there are others. So although there are over 7 billion people on this planet, arguably it isn't 7 billion potential customers, but certainly it's in the billions. And we think the good that this platform can do, raising the awareness, providing an awful lot of educational and informative content, it's phenomenal. So I've talked about this. This is a recap for the presentation that you might have seen that explains the media properties. So it talks a little bit more about BIGCrowd. And if you've not seen it, and fundingtheglobalgoals.tv, I encourage you to take a look. But this shows what those numbers, what we think is achievable, which is over a period of time to have about 6 prizes in the first year operational, then 25 in the second. These are pretty conservative numbers with the amount of money that we should be putting into the platform. 175, then 352, then 708. And bearing in mind, a prize lasts 3 years, or an award. So where you see those 6 prizes on year 1, in year 4, we'll be able to reallocate those prizes in addition to those that are shown here on the platform. So it really becomes pretty powerful. It's about 1,600 awards given over that 7-year period. And we've talked about this, so I'll go through it pretty quickly. It's 4.8 billion in total revenue. Half of that going to the game changers. They're getting 480 in cash, 240 in governance and impact reporting, and about 1.7 billion that is spent on that ecosystem. Of course, many of those are marketeers, and we aim to get a number of celebrity endorsers and many others to help them support causes that they care about. So it becomes a powerful ecosystem approach. And then, of course, we can raise, because of the bank and because of the other contacts that can learn about those game changers on the platform, we potentially can raise many, many billions for those big impact game changers. Now, from the other half, around 600 million, that's 12.5% of the revenue, would be going to those subscribers and to those aligned charities, as we talked about. 540 million will be spent on talent, 490 on technology, 440 on the marketing budget, and our net profit would be around about 360 million pounds. So from the first 3 million we raise, we will be spending money really doing the wireframing and adding to the design and making sure we test out the proposition and really test it more than it's already been tested. It has been tested, but we need to update all that marketing activity to make sure that we really have this system design correct. But then 50 million from the, or 5 million from the 50 would be spent on BIGCrowd. A further 20 million when we do the 100 million A round. That 100 million is part of the 300 million combined raise. You can learn about that on the funding strategy video, or indeed the investment opportunity video. So you can learn about that if you want to learn the detail. Then it says 90, actually it's 100 million from the 400 million. I need to update this slide. So effectively 125 million would be invested in BIGCrowd as a wholly owned subsidiary of Transform Global, or of funding the global, Transform Global Media, and thus Transform Global. Now, this gives us the ability to raise additional capital from elsewhere. We have the ability to, although the employees of BIGCrowd would have share options in Transform Global, those restricted impact options, we do have the option as well of either raising external capital to help it grow in partnership, or indeed just funding it from our own resources. That's the plan A. But there are other ways that we can go with this. And of course, if we don't raise the full fund, we would probably do that anyway. So if we choose, or if for whatever reason the fund isn't raised as we predict, for sure the first 5 million we believe that can be, or the 50 million can be raised, and potentially the follow-on round, the 100 million. But if we never raise the full fund, we can still fund BIGCrowd independently. But let's say we did it ourselves. We think very conservatively based upon that revenue growth on the model. This is a 5 to 10 billion pound organization. Now there's a team partially lined up. We need to add to that team quite significantly, but we've got phenomenal people in the network, and really getting the optimum team is about having the clear vision that we have and also having the right initial capital for this business on its own. And as the founder, I will have a very close eye and be heavily involved. But of course, we need an operational team that is really fit for purpose. And that's why I've spent the last few years putting in place partnerships and relationships so this can be, we know where the people are, basically. So the model is really about moving the needle on those impacts that can move the needle on the SDGs. It's not just about the financial return. It's about massive action from a point where we're woefully inadequate. So we think it's a vision that can resonate, and hopefully you would agree with that. So this is one other little way of looking at the combined business plan for BIGCrowd. So we can see here the subscribers. This is really what the offering is. They get to watch and learn because they get a lot of content. They get to vote and comment on those game changers and help select the ones that can win the prizes or be allocated the awards. They get to share content, and they get to earn on the platform. That's clear. But they get to collaborate. Therefore, there's an awful lot of meaning that people can get here in ways that are designed in the platform. It's a little bit like Wikipedia. You know, people can showcase their brilliance and their knowledge and their understanding and collaborate to a body of knowledge, or in this case, the success of the game changers. Then separately, they can, using their existing resource, they can donate, or ultimately they could invest into those game changers. And that's part of our long-term plan. We don't want to enable that on day one, but we do want to give the subscribers who are generating an earning pot that they can take as cash, we want to give them the ability potentially to turn that into a savings pot. But again, we don't want to create too many burdens around the regulatory requirements to enable that. But just imagine if we've got 10, 20, 100 million subscribers who are all earning on the platform, it wouldn't be that difficult. It wouldn't be that much of a stretch to turn those earners into investors into the projects on the platform, or co-investors alongside the activity of the bank. And of course, they also get to play. That's pretty important for this entire model. So the subscribers get to have a lot of fun. It's designed to be gamified in so many ways and creating an active and intelligent community. But what about the game changers? Well, they're validating their project on the platform. Now, you could argue that some of the best ones have time, but I would also argue that to become the best, it's really important they validate what they do. So we will spend a lot of time and money outreaching to find incredible game changers, including Power and including Builder, as I've already mentioned. But there's many, many more that I've lined up in the months that I've spent on Clubhouse, but also the 9 months in 2021 that I spent running my Clubhouse room 3 times a week. Funding the Global Goals.tv is the name of the room, and you're welcome to join and come in and tell us what you're doing or learn about our system innovation in finance and many others. But yeah, so we will be, I've also, because I've worked on this for a long time, I know where many of those game changers are. And by giving them the functionality of this platform and the marketing that it can deliver, as well as the audience, it means they can validate and be better found and showcase themselves so they can be found by stakeholders that they really want to secure. So they get to promote what they're doing, but guess what? The game changers also get to earn on the platform because they are subscribers too. So by promoting, and they can be, as we reiterate, just to reiterate, they can be not-for-profit, they can be for-profit with purpose, they can be startups, they can be scale-ups. They've got to have joined up thinking about addressing the sustainable development goals. They've got to have real ambition. But with all of those things given, the structure is unimportant. What is important, the intent and the capability, and not necessarily the stage. But the point being is they can promote what they're doing, improve it because of the feedback that they're getting and the support we can potentially help them with. And we can do that through our studios. We won't only support those that are already game changers or already with an award or prize, because we've got funding the globalgoals.tv to help us find others and really support them with better storytelling, with amazing content, and with the ability to do in-depth interviews and bring together other parties who might be interested in what they're doing, which all makes for phenomenal content. Excuse me for having a bit of a fidget. Anyway, so they get to earn while they're doing it. So rather than, like I've been, pretty broke for a lot of this time while I've been working on this platform, sometimes getting some friends and family support and other support, and sometimes not. Rather than doing that, by promoting what they're doing, they're building an earning piece. And that can be not just for themselves, but for other members of the team that get to subscribe as well. So although, of course, they need to potentially raise money and pay their bills and whatever their development or technology costs are, what they have the ability to do is, of course, earn on a personal level or as a game changer. So they get to source, or they get to win the grand challenges or receive the awards that can give them not just the prestige, but all of that organized help and support. They get to source the collaborators. They can get additional resources by saying, we need introductions to, or ideally, if anyone has spare office equipment, I mean, it could be anything. They can put a list of what they need, and those who might be able to donate or support or provide consulting that they need, they get to help them, and they get to deliver. So it's pretty exciting. So then, investors and donors. Well, what do the investors and donors get out of this proposition? Well, they get to source deals. They can watch a game changer. The game changers can be on a watch list. And as they get more validated or simplified, or more people get excited, then the investors can directly interact with the game changers and come to a deal independently. Now, our goal with the bank is to help facilitate that and make sure that the game changers have, whether they're raising not-for-profit money or whether they're raising for-profit with purpose money, the goal is really to be their partner and to support them fairly and objectively with any external fundraise that they might do. And of course, the more validation, the easier that will be. But also with our fund, with the SDG 360 Game Changer Fund, assuming it is raised as we believe it can be, then we can be investing alongside those investors and donors, de-risking the proposition for them and investing alongside them. So those investors and donors, they can also find co-investors on this platform. Of course, there will be the ability for investors to promote what they do and participate and showcase the ones that are especially interested in impact. Of course, they can build relationships. They can showcase the successes around impact, and they can build their positive brands. That's what the investors and donors can do. Because we think that the world of investment, it needs to change. It's not just about extracting returns because of a dominant position. It's about adding value and investing in partnership. And therefore, the better brands who do that, we will showcase, and we will be glad to showcase them. So then, what are the other stakeholders? Well, NGOs and governments and academia. Well, of course, they've got many projects that they might want to raise funds for. They can gain awareness of the issues at hand that they might want to address. So let's take climate change. What about the solutions out there that can tackle the protection of mangroves, for example, or ocean acidification? There are so many game-changing projects that need that help and support to push them forward. They can also help us set the grand challenges. We will pay or partner with many NGOs and those in government potentially and in academia, but they can also help solve those grand challenges. They can collaborate and they can help educate the public on the issues that need to be addressed. Corporations. Well, there's room for corporations, of course, and that's part of our actual strategy is to get some of the leading corporations in the world as collective sponsors of the bank and the fund and our incubation and acceleration activity that's part of the fund, and the same that is part of our BIGCrowd and funding the globalgoals.tv model. So the goal is to get around about 40 organizations sponsoring the collective activity that we're involved in, perhaps with 10 or 20 million pounds a year, for access to that open innovation activity. I'm talking individually. So that would imply somewhere between 400 and 800 million pounds per year that could come from those global corporations, the best in class. And that would help further underpin with not just their services and their support and their expertise and their marketing, but also their co-investment potentially through their corporate venturing units. But by sponsoring this collectively, they get to shine a spotlight, they inspire customers, they can motivate their employees, they can sponsor grand challenges, and that would be part of the deal. They would reduce their business risks because, let's face it, if you're a drinks company and you're not addressing the need for clean water all over the world, you've got a massive risk. You can't do it directly. You've got to do it indirectly. Well, you can do it directly to a point, but the biggest activity to help address water isn't going to come from your own internal activity. It will come from the supply chain and the many game changers, many of which are starved of funding. There is a funding drought. So to tackle the water issue, we've got to tackle the funding drought that enables us to invest in infrastructure and water collection and so many technologies and business models that can address that issue. And of course, you can showcase your compliant brands. So the brands that are really doing amazing things and doing great CSR. And then there's one other category. And there's one other category is what we call impact game changers. So the differential is a big impact game changer is something that really has the potential to have big and bold and innovative impact around these truly important things. But there's many game changers who are small and modest and actually are not interested in scaling. So there will be a part of the platform for them too. Of course, it won't be quite so detailed initially, but it will enable them to participate, also to promote and learn, because from those smaller, more modest ones, some of the big game changers will emerge. So they can validate and improve their businesses, and they can share and earn. They can find support on the platform, and they can collaborate with others. So that is designed to give an overview, quite a detailed overview of the funding opportunity and structure and marketing structure for BIGCrowd, as well as a little bit more insight into the business model for BIGCrowd and how it works as part of the bank. Well, thanks for watching. And I do encourage you to follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, and YouTube, of course. There is a fundingtheglobalgoals.tv and a Transform Global YouTube site. There's LinkedIn, and of course, a Clubhouse where I run a room 3 times a week. So come in, tell us what you think about the model, any questions you might have. If you'd like to be involved, if you want to sign up as a subscriber, you can go on to bigcrowd.net, and you can even subscribe now in beta. Very easy, put your details in and you can secure your place. We don't actually want any payment at this point because we want to make sure that the payments, when subscribers subscribe and participate, we want to make sure all the infrastructure is in place so that we can manage that relationship. But you can put your name on the waiting list and be there as part of that beta subscriber grouping. So thanks again. Do watch some of the other videos that talk about the model for the bank, the model for the fund, the governance portion, the investment opportunity, and the funding strategy, and other videos as well. So I really appreciate you watching, and look forward to communicating with you directly on Clubhouse as we grow BIGCrowd and other portions of the bank. And I look forward to seeing how we can change the world together. So if you want to get in touch, go onto the website transformglobal.co, fill in the form, and I'll be back in touch. Ideally, if you have a project that is seeking funding, I do ask you also just to bear with us, because until Transform Global is funded, until BIGCrowd is operational, there's limited activity what we can do. However, I'm always willing in my Clubhouse rooms to have those discussions, and I do welcome you to come in. So find me, I'm Steve Podmore on Clubhouse at Steve Podmore, and the rooms I run are called fundingtheglobalgoals.tv. You can find the links in the About section of this or any of the other videos. So thanks a lot. Speak to you soon.